So what they tell us in the basic regulation is you need to implement a management system which doesn't just ensure compliance with the regulation, but also ensures continuous improvement. Where we define that management system is typically in our expositions or in our handbooks. Most organizations struggle just to get to compliance. What I want to do in this presentation is change our mindset to look at performance. If compliance is your objective, and if that's all you're measuring, then all you get is compliance. But if performance is the objective, compliance becomes a result. It's a different perspective. Many organizations say, well, wait a minute, why should I do more? Why should I do more than being compliant? That's the first question. The second question, surely it's going to cost me more. Well, I'd like to challenge both those perceptions. Firstly, there's no such thing as being more compliant. You're either above the green line or below the green line. It's binary. You're either compliant or you're not. So there's no such thing as being more compliant. The second perception, that it will cost us more. Actually, what I want to show you via some examples is that this actually costs you less. Yes, there's an upfront level of effort. There's an upfront cost involved with setting ourselves up for performance, but the return on investment is very rapid. ICAO has issued a global aeronautical distress and safety system mandate, whereby they are now going to demand that data streaming becomes part of the solution to record critical flight data and cockpit voice recordings. And this will impact applicants for new type certificates, definitely, but it's also going to create a huge retrofit market. At some point in time, EASA and the FAA will have to respond and demand a retrofit schedule for the existing fleet of aircraft. Now imagine if you're an organization who could provide a solution, an STC solution, or you're an organization who will produce parts to the STC holder to provide a solution just to the 737 fleet of aircraft. That's a lucrative contract to try and pursue. And there are at least two companies that I know of that are spending a lot of money trying to get ahead of the game, trying to be first to market, and more importantly, sewing up the supply chain. Most of us need some sort of a concession or waiver procedure. We're all familiar with that. And following that procedure, having the procedure in the first place ensures that we're compliant. Following that procedure is green line behavior. Absolutely. But if your organization is raising 10 concessions in a week, how much time are you spending on those concessions? Every time you execute the concession procedure, you are being compliant. But if you're doing 10 a week, or some organizations 10 a day, how much time are you spending on that? A blue line organization would do more. They wouldn't just follow the concession procedure, they'll implement more. For instance, they'll do a root cause analysis and find out why are we raising the concessions and what can we do to reduce the number of concessions. Now let's consider what this green line, blue line behavior has and what influence it has on our quality system. Well, all of us have a quality department or independent system monitoring department. And that independent system monitoring department needs to compile an annual compliance monitoring program where they say, what is it we're going to audit over the next year, 2 or 3 years, depending on your audit cycle. Wouldn't it be of interest to the quality organization to know which procedures are up there and which procedures are down there? Why would you audit these procedures every year when you could rather focus your attention on the low-hanging fruit? But we can only target our auditing function if we can measure compliance. We need to know how well we're performing. We need to change the question from are we compliant or not, binary, to how well are we doing it. Another thing the quality department should do is look at how they should hold the organization accountable to a higher bar. Remember I said EASA said you need to jump this high, and if you can't jump this high, don't play in the game. Well, our internal auditing team needs to hold us account to a higher level. For every one finding the regulator has on us, we should have 5, 6, 7 internal findings because we're holding the company accountable to a higher level. And that's the way to achieve performance. Performance is the objective, compliance is the result. Now let's look at what the implication of this graph has on regulators and the way a regulator behaves. Well, a regulator has the same problems we as approved organizations have. They have limited resources. And if you have limited resources, you need to figure out where to apply those resources most effectively. So can you see why the regulator would be interested to know which organizations are high performing and which ones are low performing? Because if an organization is high performing, you as the regulator could stand back, give them more privileges, reduce your surveillance cycle, maybe only see them every second or third year. Whilst an organization is underperforming, that's where you want to focus your attention. So the bottom line message here is performance is the objective, not compliance. If performance is the objective, compliance is a natural result. If performance is the objective, safety is a result. If performance is the objective, profitability is a result. Organizations that write their management system and define it in their handbooks and expositions with a focus on compliance only, that means safety, profitability, they suffer. But if you set yourself up for success, performance, safety, compliance are natural results. Thank you very much.